We're going to go to line number 8 and say a very good morning here to the Liberal candidate in the beautiful big land up in Labrador, Todd Russell. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Randy, and how are you this morning?
I'm good, sir. How's your campaign going?
Well, it's going very, very well. I can't complain at all. Certainly one of the biggest themes in Labrador, everywhere I go, is the lack of trust in Stephen Harper. And, of course, this culminates around the 5-wing Goose Bay promises that were broken in 3 separate elections. Of course, I hear things about the cuts to the fishery, cuts to ACOA, and people just don't trust Mr. Harper when it comes to protecting the EI system. So that's generally the sense that I'm getting traveling throughout all areas of Labrador.
Mm-hmm.
But today, Randy, I'm calling primarily around the transportation system in Labrador.
Right.
This seems to have dominated a lot of the conversation over the last week. And people are very, very frustrated. They have felt that, in particular, the provincial government, who is primarily responsible, has shown a lack of care for the people of Labrador. They have shown a lack of vision and a lack of planning. And this, of course, is all, culminating again around the ferry service across the straits, and the fact that the provincial government has indicated they're not going to do anything with the road situation in Labrador, particularly the south coast, the Straits area, and Phase 3 of the road area until 2014. It's an amazing situation where we had a 40-year-old ferry that was in place. People were complaining for a number of years about the adequacy of that particular ferry, the Apollo. And, in fact, we come to find out now that there was no contingency plan in place if, indeed, that particular ferry went out of service due to mechanical or other types of issues. And that just shows a lack of concern, a lack of vision, and a lack of planning for the people of Labrador. It's interesting also to note that, there is a provincial transportation committee in place. We're not sure if the province is listening to the individuals that represent Labrador on that particular committee.
Mm-hmm.
We now have a highway action committee in place. We just have a newly formed Labrador Business Network committee that's set up to talk about the ferry service. People want action, and they're not seeing it. And at the same time, Randy, they see the rape of our resources. And again, this is highlighted with Muskrat Falls. And the message I'm receiving from all areas of Labrador is that there will not be 1 kilowatt, not 1 kilowatt of power that ever gets transmitted outside of Labrador unless there are major investments in our infrastructure. And that means ferries, that means hard-topping for roads, that means into our airports, that means into electricity grid. And people are serious about this. They have put up with this for generations. And I believe that with the number of different concerns that have been raised throughout Labrador, this is what's breaking the camel's back. The whole lack of investment, but the taking of the resources. And, it is at the provincial government's peril if they do not, pay heed to what the people are saying. They've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of effort trying to convince the people of Labrador that they want to take the power out and that somehow this is good for us. But they have put nothing on the table for our people. And at the same time, we have now in the Straits a 40-year-old freight boat that cannot cope with any type of wind conditions, ice conditions. In fact, just this past weekend when she started service, she had to tie up in Fort Bay because she couldn't dock in Blanc-Sablon. We had the ferry people by not only by a cargo ship or a freight boat, but by planes, much more susceptible to weather conditions. It's unacceptable. And the mere fact that there has been no contingency plan in place is unacceptable to the people of Labrador. And they want to see action. I placed a call to Minister Henderson today. I'm calling on him to send his officials into the Straits area, into Labrador, and start immediate consultations on a way forward here. Because even if the Apollo comes back in a week or in some other time frame, we cannot stop here. We have to make sure that there's long-term plans in place. It is affecting the business community.
There needs to be a new boat on that run.
Well, absolutely. And if you're going to have a new boat, you've got to start planning. Now, there are options. Of course, there's construction, but if there's not construction, there's the purchase of vessels. We've seen the federal government purchase vessels for Marine Atlantic. So there are options out there, and people want to see those options on the table, and they want to see them actioned. Of course, this affects everybody's.
So you're not expecting to hear anything in tomorrow's budget on that.
Well, I'm very skeptical if we're going to hear anything in tomorrow's budget, and if there is nothing in tomorrow's budget, it once again indicates to the people of Labrador the lack of concern and the lack of vision on the part of the provincial government on this. And when it comes to this situation, people will talk about it being a Straits Ferry and a connection, but this is the whole of Labrador. Now, we have a road network that connects a substantial part of Labrador. Even the North Coast residents depend on the road because they fly into Goose Bay, or in the summertime they transport their vehicles, and they use that particular connection. We are the only connection in this province to the rest of Canada by road. Mm-hmm. And I cannot see why the province has not seen this as a vital link, as a essential link that must be invested in. That means the ferry service. That means the road service. It is unacceptable in the 21st century.
All right. Todd Russell, we're going to have to end there because we're over time.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me.
No problem.
Just send the message out that the people of Labrador have had enough, that the people of Labrador are going to fight, and the one message that the province must receive and must adhere to is that there is no resources going out of Labrador without there's infrastructure investment, and substantial infrastructure investment. People have said there will be no construction on the Muskrat Falls until we see construction and investment in our ferries, our roads, and our air.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right, Todd Russell.